Hey, what's up? Uh, this is the second dev log or dev update, I guess. Um, you can actually see the code behind all this, but don't worry, it's kind of ass right now. So yeah, I decided to have audio and to talk this time. Um, so I'll try to make it quick. Realistically, it won't be. So first things first, the start screen's been updated. Um, the press enter now fades in and fades out, which is like the UI selector, which I don't remember if that was doing that in the first update, but anyway. And then also, I just had like an AI generated background now because I thought it looked kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of I forget, I don't remember what it's called, a place in Dragon Ball. Anyway, so now you'll notice as soon as we join in the game, we're in a dungeon now. So we don't immediately go into a fight, but we're in a dungeon. Um, and then obviously these tiles are placeholders because it looks not great. The same as the character, same as there's no animation, it's just a dude's head. Obviously that's just the same sprite but red. And then you'll notice here, the box with the X'd out, that's stairs again. Not being used right now, or don't have a sprite for it right now. But yeah, it's the stairs are basically fully functional, which is cool. But yeah, so the past 2 weeks, I've spent a lot of time on generation, like dungeon generation, and then using that dungeon generation. So like right now, this is actually a pretty pretty nice looking generation. It looks kind of cool. I have if you hit tab, it gives you a little mini map and it shows everything, which I want to fix at some point, not have it do that. But yeah, so dungeon generation was what I worked on a lot. I was initially working on I started with path generation before I had anything else, just getting from X to getting from point X to point Y, which by itself, like if you're just doing it in terminal, it's not too difficult. You can, because it was actually kind of funny. But yeah, the way I just looked up a bunch of YouTube videos, and that was pretty useful. But yeah, so this is the dungeon. I said these are the stairs. I'm working on the pass right now. That's what I worked on the past couple, like probably the last 2 hours. Just today, it's Friday, and I try to stay positive in my notes. So it was hard to do that with working on past stuff because brother, it's just not recognizing some stuff, so I don't know. So you'll see, going back to this enemy, right now the enemy doesn't move, but once you come in one contact with it, you go into the fight. So we'll recognize this screen. Yeah, we do a fight. It's still just jumping on them. That's the new damage particle system, which we'll talk about. It's still just jumping on them. Also, there's tweening there now. The enemy spawns at a set distance away from you, so he'll spawn in the void, which right now we can also walk in the void, which that's something I want to fix, but right now it's not a big deal. So I have it written in the code, and I just have it commented out right now, but in the initial game that this is based off of, it has like the Pokemon style battles where it's just after a set random interval you'll fight. But then I was like, well, I'm doing this tile generation, this dungeon generation based off of like Pokemon Dungeon, Mystery Dungeon, and that's like you just fight in the dungeon. So I was like, oh, I can combine the two. You interact with one of them, and then you're fighting now. Also, I can just click R to get out of that, but whatever. So yeah, I'm not sure which I like more. Right now, I just have it set to this right now because it lets me like mess around more. And it's not like I basically don't have a time. All these all the rooms have numbers associated with them based off of like ordering. Also, yeah, if you hit shift, I just got sticky keys. If you hit shift, it'll run, but the movement is based on tweening, so it's really awkward. And if you're not doing it like at the exact right moment or while you're moving, it'll jump the screen, that's something to fix, but that's not important right now. So I was mentioning tweening. That's just like handling stuff with a library based on time and having something change instead of updating it every frame myself. So originally the enemy was tweened to my location, so I'd have him follow. I think it could be a set interval. I think I probably had it like either 0.5 or 1 second behind me, so it's normally around like this distance. And I move based on tiles, but when you're tweening, like, and it's not just tweening X or tweening Y, he can follow me diagonally or whatever way. So he wasn't moving in tiles at all, which is whatever. But also because it's, even though tweening is like nice because it's not updating every frame as much, like you see like this jump here. Okay, well I can't. Yeah, but you see like these jumps. Like when I'm in between, like when I'm still in the middle of a tween and I like change the amount of time a tween should take, it doesn't look good. So because he was every single frame, the enemy was his tween was being updated for my X and Y location, so he looked really laggy. So it wasn't great. So that's why I just have him standing here. Also, so I can walk around and like test stuff out, basically. But yeah, so character moves tile to tile, which is cool. Another thing, and this took a second. Right now, I just have it as like a global, like so you'll see here. If I go into a fight, like you'll see this is 2, this is 4. This is where the stairs are. I go into a fight here, and that's my voice, by the way. Everything will stay the same. But if I were to go in the stairs, and then also, it's a selector. It's the same selector, you might realize. It's the same selector as the UI selector in the fight. It doesn't blink. That's an issue. I don't know why. But yeah, if I go down, then it generates another random one. So it's like going down another level, which you see now you see sometimes it's a lot more separated out because it's, I make the dungeon, I randomize the rooms in the list, I delete like 2/3 of them, and then I reorganize them. So the reorganization, it's probably not optimal, but the reorganization is for room connection eventually, hopefully. But yeah, so another thing you'll see is, I think it does it when I contact it. Yeah, you see that tween right there. You see it does a sweet, cute little fade to black, and then it does a fade to white. That wasn't there originally. It was, I don't know if it does it when I don't think it does. If I just hit R here, yeah, that's what it looked like originally. So it was just like, okay, well, after a fight, before I had the dungeon, it would just go from fight to fight, and it would just be immediate. So it's a little bit more clean. Yeah, and then I already showed this, but there's a damage particle system. That's my voice, like downshifted. That's the health updating, but that's not new. It doesn't look like this is based off of, it doesn't look like the game it's based off of, which is, again, that's not something they could focus on right now. Maybe it is, but that's not what I'm trying to focus on right now. But yeah, and then if I do die, it's funny if it might actually crash because I haven't done it in a while. No, we're good. That is loud though. But yeah, so yeah, besides that, like the last 2 weeks, I think the first or second day, like on last Monday or Tuesday, I spent it kind of just cleaning up code. But I'm not trying to worry too much about optimizing stuff because I just remembered some coworker said something along the lines of optimization is like the villain of creativity or productivity or whatever. It's just like, I want to make this stuff, and then it's not like make everything then optimize. It doesn't matter, or it does matter, but it's, yeah, I don't want to have everything optimized because then that's just going to slow me down, and then I'm going to get tired, and then I'm not going to want to make stuff, and that already becomes an issue sometimes when you're like self-doubting, and that happens a lot. So yeah, let's see what else. Oh yeah, another thing, and this is something small, most people probably didn't realize it, the enemies have shadows now. So in the last devlog, I had a shadow, but now the enemies do. I realized for some reason, it was something about players and monsters are both considered entities, but the monster rendering wasn't done correctly, or it wasn't done in line with the player, which was done through entity. But a weird issue is all the sprites for the monsters were facing right, and my sprite was facing left. Flip that around. It was left and right. but it created a really weird issue where they were like moonwalking. But yeah, it's good now. And also now the shadow stays on the ground, which you don't really get to see because I jump high. But yeah, and honestly, there's probably a bunch of other little stuff I forgot. Today marks a month of me working on this game. 4 weeks, so 20 days, but a month of me working on this game. Which is crazy. I don't know if I'm like... I don't know, man. I'm happy, but also like... Does this look like a month of work, or does this look like a week of work? I don't know. This is like the first game I've really tried to make outside of like the scope of like one of those CS50 things. But it's exciting. So some future stuff I plan on working on the next 2 weeks is you'll see like my player health went down. So I'm at 940 right now. But as soon as I go back, it's back to 1,000. So I want to make it so it stays. So it's, you have a limited amount of health and it's just completely regen. And so it'll stay between fights. But another idea, and I need to implement this because this is how saving works in games, is I need it to be, before I exit the game, I almost clicked exit, I don't really want to do that. A part of the exit function needs to be saving into a file, and I forget the name of the file, it doesn't really matter. But saving into a file, just like player info and dungeon info and stuff like that. So if that exists, then you can go to that. And otherwise, I guess if you die, you overwrite that. But also, like, in the long run, that's obviously not how it's going to work. But just so I have, like, a system to build upon. So that's an idea that I hope to get onto within the next 2 weeks. Obviously, something I should do is finishing dungeon. Oh yeah, look at this. This is the red little dot is me, and the green dot is the stairs. Also with the stairs, if you go to them and you click no, it moves you back the opposite direction. In Mystery Dungeon, it does it when you're on top of it, which so the weird issue is that it'll do it on diagonals, but that's not something to worry about really, at least not right now. Because if I'm on top of it and it's a collidable, that means every single frame I'm on top of it is going to be colliding, and it's hard to move stuff. Like I can't tween because then it's still going to be me over it even in the middle of a tween, and then it's going to retween. It's like you know how like I was having this issue, it'll be something like that. It'll be really jittery. But yeah, so there's that. Obviously there's paths. Another thing is, and I don't know if I'd probably do it maybe with shaders. I'm not sure because it can just be done with like a slightly bigger non-tile based, like just draw a rectangle over it, white rectangle with like very low opacity, and then just have that over whatever room you're in, which that's not too difficult. That's just basically being like, hey, is this X and Y value in this rectangle? If so, do that. Otherwise, maybe do something too. Same thing with the paths, which I don't think would be too difficult. But yeah, because that's how it worked in Mystery Dungeon. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, like I said, tab is the maps, which because of the varying size of the maps, it's not really like I can't have it always be a specific size right now. At least that's not something really to worry about. But also, like, I don't know, maybe I could try to center it, but if I try to center it, that'd mean I'd probably have to render this onto a canvas, which if I render onto a canvas, that means I'd have to do it every single frame or every time I called it, and it's just, you gotta pick your battles, and that's not a battle I'm trying to fight right now. And yeah, besides all that, that's basically it. I'm sure there's other stuff I'm going to work on, but that's the state of the game as of, I almost said February, March 1st. Okay, bye-bye.